There we are. All right. All right. Well, welcome, 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 guys. Yep. My computer played every screen I have. Well, welcome back to the Pain Point Podcast. It is Tuesday. It is 10 a.m. A little after that. And welcome, folks, here. We are glad to have you here. I've got a great guest that is going to be joining me today. And her name is Cari Brunton. And I am so excited to have her here. So let's bring her up. And hey, you guys, we did have a great, we had a great run with our fundraising for confronting domestic violence. And I want to just thank you to Dawn Telehusen from Avon and Michelle from Live Pure. So great to have that. And thank you so much for what you did for us. That is awesome. And this is a great place. You know, you never know who you're going to meet and how you're going to meet them. That's going to make a difference in your world and your day. So let me bring in Cari. So, Cari, welcome so much to the Pain Point podcast. I'm so glad to have you here and be part of this.
Thank you so much for having me today, Nicole. We're going to have some fun.
Yes, we are. It's going to be another wonderful day here. So tell everybody a little bit about you. I met you networking, and we talked about stages. We talked about our
We
connection
did.
in what we do with our business. But tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Cari Brunton, and I help solopreneurs and small businesses make marketing fun and easy. And so, because they are losing the love for their business, they are frustrated with constantly chasing leads that don't go anywhere, and they are stressed out by roller coaster income. So, I help you to build repeatable marketing systems using speaking and events so that you can focus on the parts of your business you really love. So,
Absolutely. Yes, yes. So yeah, you know what? Focus on the business that you love. How did you get into this where you were like, yeah, I'm jazzed about this. I want to stand out and shine. I want to share uh other speakers with the world.
so it was a long evolution process, and when I opened my business, I was only doing live event planning. So I had been an event planner in corporate and nonprofit. I actually have a diploma in event management, and so which I have a huge passion for. And I got into it because I love entrepreneurs. Okay, I collect them everywhere I go. I hoard them like dragons hoard gold, right? So my father's an entrepreneur, my brother's an entrepreneur, my husband's an entrepreneur. I have so many entrepreneurs. I'm not joking when I say I hoard them and I collect them. And so I am extremely passionate about helping them be successful because I have seen up close and personal what happens when the clients are not rolling in, when it's a struggle to get your income going. And I have seen how that ripples out and affects you. It affects your family, it affects your friends, and it just keeps going. And then I have seen the amazing positivity that happens to you and your family and your friends when things are going well and business is fun and you're making money and you're having an impact and you're helping people with your skills and your talents. And I want entrepreneurs to live in that space, right? So in 2020, my business came to a screeching halt. I live in Canada and we stopped having live events for 2 years. And obviously, at the time, I'm going, I don't know how long this is going to be, but suddenly I have no clients, I have no income, and I have no plan for how my business is going to move forward. I'm ripping my hair out. I'm crying on the couch because just the amount of stress that this is causing me.
Yeah.
So suddenly people start asking me about webinars, and it initially comes from an event marketing place, and sure, that's not a problem. And then I go to some of these webinars and they're not that good. And I'm like, hang on here. I started public speaking when I was 4. And while I acknowledge that that's freakish, and I do. I'm openly aware of that.
Four, four, four. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let me stop you
Yeah,
right there. Four.
absolutely.
How'd you get into that at
4.
four?
So my elementary school had a program run by the region where you could it was completely voluntary and you entered, and at that level it was you learned a short poem and you memorized it and you went, and on the day of, you got the day off of school, you had to go, you presented, you get a certificate telling you how well you did, and then your dad takes you out for lunch. Right? So to me as a kid, this is like the best thing ever. And so started doing it. So I did it that year. I did it, and then I did it every year until I was in grade 8 because, again, day off school, dad takes lunch, and all I have to do is get on stage and talk, like, right? And so for me, that was a total no-brainer, and it taught me a lot about public speaking and presentation technique and things like that. So then when I saw these webinars, I was kind of like, why are you doing that? That's a weird choice, and you should be doing this instead. And I was like, okay, hang on, I got to do this. So I set up my own webinar, and I get about 40 people in the room. I'm thrilled. I get up on stage, I emote, I share, I teach. I'm having a fantastic time. People are loving my content. Nobody buys a thing.
Mm,
Zero sales calls booked. And I am crushed. I
yeah.
felt so embarrassed because I had been so sure that I was going to be absolute dynamite at this. And I was like, I'm going to get dynamited at this. So I went back, I studied sales psychology and more presentation technique and the difference between teaching from stage and selling from stage and all of these things. I came back, I did another webinar. My sales calendar fills up. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. And I realized that if I'm struggling with this and I've been speaking my whole life, how hard must this be for people who haven't been speaking their whole life?
Right.
And so it became a part of my services and I started teaching it. And I absolutely love helping entrepreneurs get on stage. And when they come back to me and they say, Cari, I got 2 clients from that last talk. Cari, I booked 3 more talks from that last talk. Cari, like, I just light up. Like, fireworks are going off in my chest because that's what I want. I want it to be easy and fun for you. I want you to get on stage and talk for 20 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour and then come back with sales calls and clients.
Well,
I
yeah,
absolutely want that for everybody.
absolutely. Absolutely. You should want that. We learn from our mistakes or we learn to pivot and move. And as long as we're looking and exploring on our journey a little bit off the path of what else can happen, but look, also reflect back to where you have been to share that. And the point of sharing that with your audience and your clients and people, that it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes time to build it. You're never an overnight success. There was something that you did when you look back at Floor. Hey, when I was young and I was in kindergarten, I was a little flower. We had these little cutouts, and I wore this little cardboard cutout, and I was a little flower on the stage. But these things you look back at your experience, and you actually remember those points of where this started and the journey to this, and said, "Hey, wait a second. It still happened to me. How can I help you do this?" And sharing that. And I love that because that's what you want. You want your clients not only to get leads, but to really stand out and shine and be like, hey, you can be successful and I can teach this to you. So we all are making money and we all are doing well. And what a great way to do this and go online and say, hey, you know what? I can do live events, but I also can pivot. Times are changing, and with AI, we don't have centuries of change. We don't have years, 20 years of change. We don't have generations. We
We
have
have a day.
minutes.
Yeah.
You have minutes. And I was watching Myron Goldwyn this morning, and he was talking about that, and the times have changed and how quick this has changed, and just step into this. And with this saying, hey, I didn't lose everything going online. You gained the ability not to. take away from the live event. And I think that's so important to share with people and share it with my clients. And I'd love to learn where you stand on this because I think live events are such a great marketing tool. Online events are such a great tool to live events, and people get to see you. And then they get to come and see you live as well. Do you do hybrid events with that and use both of those?
Yes. So how it works is most of my clients come to me for speaker training. Once we've got their speaking established, their income is steady, they're having a good time, then we start looking at implementing an event strategy. And so it usually starts with virtual events because those are cheaper, they're a smaller commitment, they're easier to get into. And so we start building those, and then we work our way up to live events when they want to move to that place. So, and several of my clients opt to, when they're hosting a live event, offer a hybrid component, especially depending on the audience that you're hoping to reach. Because with a live event, the majority of your attendees are going to be local. But if you have a bunch of clients who are on, like I'm Canadian, if I have a bunch of clients who are in California, a lot of them don't want to come to a live event in Toronto, which is okay. And so, but they still want to be included and they still want to participate. And there's still opportunity there to connect, to sell, and to grow your brand and create some really powerful fulfillment moments so that you're continuing that bond with your clients. So the hybrid option gives you that. And it's just a matter of it does affect, the way you plan and the way you budget and things like that. But with the amazing studios and things like that that are available now, it's very doable, and a lot of my clients have had a lot of success with it.
I love that because now you're worldwide and if you plan this into your next year of 2026, this is a portion of your marketing budget. You're
Yep.
selling yourself without
Oh,
ads. I
excuse me.
mean, yes, of course. It's a bit early, isn't it? But it just depends on what you have where you are in your business financially and how much you have grown and the outreach that you're looking at gaining. But we're always marketing ourselves and we're always selling ourselves. And what a great way the magic is, are you on the screen? Are you talking to people? Are you connecting? And this is where we're so different from AI is we're human. And I share that
Yes.
sometimes with my people. They go, "Oh, you made a mistake or there's a time or there's something missing in your landing page." And I said, "Great, you can see my human showing, right? You can see where I'm at on this that I'm live. I make mistakes whether I have a team or not, which is great because I'm connecting and Michio Kaku talk about how we need to be inventive and pivot and be creative. And events are so creative wherever you're at. But and you talked about this too as well. You take your clients through the entire journey. I mean, wow, what a success and bringing people into the stage, speaking on the stage and showing them how to do events. So there's an evolvement, there's an evolution to what you do. So you're just not like hold an event and then you're on your own and I'm going to leave you.
You know what? I have so many clients who I've fallen in love with, essentially, right? Like they become such good friends and stuff like that. I don't want them to go away. So it's like, what do we do next? How do we prepare for that? And so it just no, that was a big factor, was creating some kind of longevity so I could hang out with these really awesome people a little longer and then and be of continual service to them. And the other aspect was just trying to understand, because I started as an events business and then this speaking piece came down, and for a long time they just felt like completely separate arms. And I didn't like that. And then people were kind of like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get how both of these things are your business. And one day I just woke up and I was like, it's a cycle. And suddenly it all made sense and it feels a lot better now from a strategic point. And I love good business strategy. So the fact that there was this disjoint really didn't sit well with me. And I didn't like when people were like that, huh? And I was like, but it's it connects more now. And I actually had somebody put that together without me explaining to them the other day. They're like, "Oh, so speaking in that event, oh, that's such a good combo." And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I love that they got there before I explained the cycle because most people need me to connect it for them. So, and I think it's really important to have some kind of longevity plan for your clients because clients are the easiest people to sell, right? They're already
Right.
involved with you. They're the people who are most likely to buy more from you if you offer it. So having those conversations and saying, what more can I be of value to you? What is your next step on your journey that I can assist with? And making it so that we can keep playing together and keep having fun together. I'm very focused on the this is fun, let's do more.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. The fun part, right? Have a good time,
Yes.
enjoy yourself. And having fun builds a confidence too. Can I laugh at you? Can I be a little bit, I've got a total or sarcastic, self-deprecating humor because I love to laugh at myself and reflect and go, "Oh my gosh, was I really there? Was I really doing that?" But
Yeah.
it helps me, and I see that, of course, I attract those clients, right? And we attract those clients and we build that trust and laugh. If you can
Yes.
laugh at a story, if you can, cry at the right moment and feel that, feel into someone's conversation where they're having a conversation past the trauma, a lot of the post-traumatic growth where they're not bringing the pain in the moment to the stage, they're not reliving the crisis, but they're able to bring that mess into the message and the beauty of that and seeing that. I love to see that. I saw that with one of my first summits, even in virtual reality, to see that for confronting domestic violence, we brought people into the stage. Coming into the stage is a little easier when you're a panda bear or giraffe. And being able to tell the story, what's that like with you, the bond that you must create with your clients and the trust to hear their story and help them shape it so it becomes their brand and they can succeed.
So my absolute favorite clients and my ideal clients, I get quite close to, and we do develop because we do have to talk about our stories and where we've been, but we also have to talk about, what are you afraid of that's going to happen? Because if we don't confront those fears and those issues before you start speaking, they're going to hold you back and they're going to get in your face. And it's so important to just acknowledge what it is because usually we're afraid of something completely ridiculous, right? For a long time, I was afraid that everybody was going to look at me and be like, "You're too young. You have there's no way you know what you're talking about. There's no way you have real value here. Go sit back in the corner for another 20 years." Right? Because I launched my business when I was 29. I was constant. I'm a big networker. I love to, because I'm a big extrovert. So I love to get out and talk to people, both virtual networking and in person. Back then it was all in person. And I was constantly the youngest person in the room. And sometimes by a good 20 to 25 years, and it was very obvious that I was the youngest person in the room. And so that developed some insecurities. And once I really acknowledged that and sat down and let that out, I realized there was a part of that that was really holding me back on stage and that I was worried about that. And letting it out and letting it go has made me a more powerful presenter. So I want my clients to have that experience as well. So we need to be able to talk about their fears and their goals and their dreams and all of those things. And it does develop a great closeness. And a lot of my favorite clients, like I said, have become good friends. And we have a very easygoing relationship where I can just text them and go, "What did you just do?" Or "That was brilliant. I'm so proud of you." And it gets to a space where it's quite casual but still extremely effective, and we can be very honest and very open with each other of, "I hate this strategy, why are you making me do it?" And it's like, well, here's why. And either then they agree with me or we go back to the drawing board and find something that feels better for them.
Yes, absolutely. I love that because, hey, maybe there's something else we can do. Maybe
The,
there's something better that we can
absolutely.
share, a strength in the
Absolutely.
growth.
Absolutely. I have a big
Yes.
rule. Cookie cutters only belong in the kitchen. There is no one fit all method for everybody. There are templates and strategies and plans that we're going to start with, but we're going to tweak them and make sure they work for you. And if they don't work for you and they don't feel good, throw them the hell out. Because
Yes, yes.
right? this is the biggest thing that I come back to time and time again. If you don't love your marketing, it will not love you back.
No, it doesn't. But the proof is in the pudding when you're talking about marketing and networking. I want to say hello to a few people that are live in the chat on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. And they're from the Hounds of Business community. And we have
Yay!
Curtis.
Hi.
And Curtis says that it's cold and wet in England today. It's 3:20 p.m. Warm up. Laugh a little, Curtis. And Royce Blake, great guy. And he's saying that, there's a lot of trust that comes from the speaking when we're talking about that. And Colleen Stubbs is here too, and she's saying hello. And it's so great to see these people here. And that's part of the community building and the engagement when you're creative and when you're engaging and you network and you talk to people and you're not pitch slapping all over the place, but you're learning
I
to
love that term.
connect and engage, right? I love that. But what does that, when people light up and you are just engaging, you're willing to get on a phone call and have a conversation, you're here live on the podcast. And of course we all, and I want to thank you for your time because we all have as entrepreneurs many, many things that we could be doing somewhere else, somehow else. Maybe they're better or they're not, but it's being on the stage. When you're talking about that, building the brand, people know who you are and now know how to introduce you at networking events. And they're like, hey, that's Cari. She does red bucket events. Hey, that's Nicole. She talks about, the virtual space, visibility and influence for the audience. You don't want to just take the leads. You want to have a warm market. When you're putting this all together, it takes a little while to build, and there's this large snowball that comes with a group of people. When people now are able, your clients, to come onto a stage and connect and collaborate and engage, when they come on the stage and they start to do, maybe they're doing masterminds, workshops, or live events, where is the engagement for them at this point with the way technology is changing? Maybe a tip or two that you'd like to share for people to say, hey, I need to start engaging and just not collect leads, but get butts and seats and get people to buy my stuff.
Yeah. So the engagement is super, super important, right? So our brain goes into both active and passive modes. All right. And so when you create engagement and you give people something to do, and by something to do, it can be as little as put one in the chat, wave your hand, like write this down. I'm not talking about you have to give them a whole mission and like run to the grocery store, get like, or no, like small, little, tiny actions, right? That's creating engagement. It's giving them something to do, it's giving them a way to participate in your talk. And that keeps them in the active side of their brain. And it's not actually sides, in case any of you are super into neurobiology. It's not sides. That's not how it works. But go call a neurobiologist for that stuff, please. Not me. Did not go to medical school. Do not quote me on those things. But so making a decision like buying is an active thing. So it's easier for us to do if we're already in an active mode. When we are in passive mode, which is what happens when we watch television, when we are just sitting back and observing, right? We go into passive mode, which means it is harder for us to make a decision because we're not really ready for it. Our brain's not in that state, that kind of thing. So creating those moments makes it easier for people to lean forward and buy. That's one of the big things I want you to do. So, drop one in the chat if you agree with me. Drop two in the chat if this is why you came here today. If, write this down because I'm about to drop something really awesome, right before you drop a bomb, like write this down, get them ready, prep their brains. Little things like that. Ask, opening up and saying, would you like to ask a question? Anything like that creates engagement, creates those active moments for people. All right. And that makes it easier for them to buy. The other thing is you got to create some kind of urgency. And I know when I say urgency, a lot of us think, oh, okay, I have to say my deal's only available for 2 days or whatever. And that's one type of urgency. The main type of urgency I want you to get into is why do they need your service now? right? It doesn't have to be a great, it's not that it's an amazing deal because you're a wonderful value, but why is your service so important to their life right now? What issues are so present that they've got going on that they need you today and not 6 months from now? And
Yeah.
that's going to move your sales needle forward so much faster.
Yes. And you know, the urgency at this point when people are like, oh, it goes away tomorrow, unless it's a Black Friday sale and you try it or you get out and dabble in it, dependent upon your audience. But it's almost like the 97, you know, it's $3.97. Everybody knows today that it's actually $4 plus tax and whatever else it's really going to be wherever you're buying your stuff at. But it's really like that deception doesn't work anymore. People
It's
know that. It's no fair to the client to do that. And I think we maybe cause just a little bit more harm than good. And it's like, hey, some of this is, yeah, definitely with good psychology and connection, but some of it's just, is it unnecessary? And are we worried about frivolous things?
I wouldn't say it's a deception to have a limited time deal because there's actually lots of reasons for doing it. Like you said, like it might just be a sale kind of thing. And things like bonuses and things like that that expire are actually really beneficial and they are great motivators for sales.
Right.
So I have no issue with people doing those and offering, a limited time deal. Normally this is this price, I'm doing it for this price for the next 3 days. I don't personally think that's deception at all. And it does create some level of urgency. But like I said, the main urgency is that you have to drive that you are the solution to the problem that they're having right now. And their life is going to be better when they start working with you. So they don't want to wait 6 months.
Right, 100%, 100%. And I'm not saying, just to clarify, I'm not saying that you're trying to deceive people or salespeople are. What I'm saying is it's not all necessary. There
No,
there
it's not.
is bonuses, there are value, there are certain sale days you want to acknowledge. But if you're going to tell somebody it's only $22 and you got to buy it right now, and 2 months later they see you still selling the same thing for $22, we want to make sure that we're kind of thinking,
Yes.
what's your next five moves? Are you thinking ahead at least, 30 days from now? What does that really look like and where is it going to work, of course? Um, and
Yes.
and and not to see people, some people in business do try to do that and it doesn't help anybody. It goes back to the pitch slapping. You're throwing your cards on
Yeah.
the table. I started networking in Las Vegas. Well, thank goodness at the time I could be a few cocktails in before I had to engage. It was is a little bit different, right? Coming out of a 20-year career plus in law enforcement and security, we talk to people a little bit differently. So I needed to break the barrier just a little bit.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid, but it's a different conversation between kicking someone out and bringing them into your life. So
Yes.
it is so valuable when you're talking about networking and connection and community. That brings me to this point that I really like to highlight more, especially because we're live and talk about. Sometimes it seems like it's an elephant in the room, and nobody wants to talk about some of these things when we are connecting. That the kind of posting and ghosting of events where you have an event, you get it set, you get the great top on, you get your hair done, you get your nails done, you've got your script, everything's there, you got your bestie ready to put stuff in the chat, but you forgot one really, really important thing, and that was to network and talk to people. Let's discuss that. I think is very important for a lot of people to even some people in 5 years of their business, some CEOs coming in as entrepreneurs. We see that a lot more. But, you have to have the engagement in a group of people before you expect them to come to your event and put some money down, right?
Yeah. I think some people think you can show up one time, talk about your event, go, and so many people are going to come. And that only works if they all already know who you are, which usually they don't. And so your best strategy to fill your event is yes, start networking early, start talking about it, and start asking people to be your affiliate partners and ask if they'll send out an email or a social post on your behalf, get a wider reach, spread it to more people. That's the best way to fill your events. And it's the way we're seeing again and again works best for everybody across the board is to find some people who have a similar audience but offer a different service that you can partner with. You'll share their events, they'll share your events, and it's hugely beneficial. And putting in that time in advance is way more important. So many people fall down that rabbit hole. You're exactly right of they're going to focus only on their content and what's going on the day of, and they forget to go get people to show up, which is why my rule for my clients is start marketing it before you start building it, right? Because it
Yes.
doesn't matter if you build it if nobody shows up. And you can refine. I'm a huge fan of webinars and workshops, especially as a way to start speaking because you control the board. You can control absolutely every element. And so it's such a great way to get your feet wet, start speaking, get comfortable. And
Yeah.
with those, it's so easy. You can literally spend eternity working on your talk and refining your workshop and changing your content. And then I can build a workbook and then I can do this and I can spend forever building stuff and never do anything with it. So the way I do it is pick your date, build your promotional resources and start promoting it and then build your content. Because trust me when I say if your date comes around, you'll build your content. If you have to stay out till 4 in the morning doing it, you'll build your content. But you can do it the other way and never get around to marketing.
Well,
So
yeah,
market
that's so
first.
value. That's so valuable because when you're building your content, you're kind of beta testing it live and on the spot.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
want to know
absolutely.
what do your clients want? Islam Gouda, another hounds join. Thanks, Islam. Happy to see you. Happy Tuesday. Glad you're here, joining us on LinkedIn. And that you get to know what people want, what clicks with them. Because it does go back to your story. It's not always what you want to say. It's what people are going to hear, especially at different circumstances. There's going to be a different reaction live than there is online, and there's a different reaction in different groups. So maybe having the same talk and changing the title a little bit more towards the clientele and aligning with that, and getting people to, get on that. You're getting on the same page as your clients, so you know what to look for. There was one other thing I did want to ask you. Do you do corporate events or are these just more personal events for different people?
So I did corporate events back in the day and I don't anymore. It's just not my personal passion. But so I work with small entrepreneurs and small businesses who are hosting events that affect their bottom line. So they might be networking events, they might be sales-based events, they might be some kind of fulfillment because they promised their clients they were going to do this and they haven't figured out how they're going to do it, so they're just going to do it as an event kind of thing. And so I work on all of those. I do a lot of event marketing and then I also do a lot of event strategy and building and logistics. So, depending on what my clients want within that circle, but it is about entrepreneurship, it's about business, it is about building communities and things like that. And because that's my passion. Like I said, I'm all about helping entrepreneurs grow and make business more fun and easy. So, let's do that with some events too.
Right. And I think that's great because, and the reason I asked is, coming from Silicon Valley in a corporate America world back in the 80s, it was just corporate events had gotten so boring. And I worked in Las Vegas in a casino, and it was like, they're just robots. There's a different
Yeah.
reaction. Entrepreneurs are able to show reaction and passion and purpose and be aligned with their audience and their goals and passions and what they want to achieve. And I think it's important in this day, especially 2026 is the year that, CEOs, they're leaving corporate America. They're escaping. They've got to have some type of parachute to get out with to say, hey, what do we do? So when they're coming in here, I would definitely suggest getting on the stage and sharing the visibility and what would you suggest for people coming into entrepreneurship that maybe understand their business and how it works, but that it's a different level of engagement. The corporate America is not funneling clients to you anymore. Now you have to go out and seek clients. I think it's a great way to speak, is to again get the engagement and get to build a personable closeness and connection to your clients. What would you suggest for people leaving corporate America, coming into entrepreneurship?
So once you know where you're going, so like the biggest thing is figure out like what you want to do, get an idea of what your services are, who your clients are. Once you're there, speaking is such a dynamite strategy, and it's for so many reasons. Not only do you get to show off your expertise, but it is the fastest and easiest way to get your audience to trust you. All right. People can follow you on social media for literally years before they have any kind of conversation with you. Okay, that is a super, so you, I want you to look at social media as a long game strategy. I'm not saying don't do it, just understand that it's generally a long game thing. Speaking, on the other hand, is a short game strategy. You get in front of people, you're not competing for attention. You'll notice I'm the only guest on this show right now. I'm not competing for anything, right? And I don't have to compete with, with social media. There's always another post, there's always something else ready for us to look at. Okay, it is constant competition. With speaking, I am holding my spot. I'm holding this stage. You guys are watching me. You're listening to me. Good job, you guys. and so, and it's so much easier to build trust. I am live. I am real. I am not edited. And you guys know that. So not only do you get to understand that I actually know what I'm talking about because I'm saying these things as we go, but you are experiencing almost an unfiltered version. It's not 100% unfiltered. I'm wearing lipstick. There's some stuff going on, but it is one of the closest ways that you can really see me. I can't get AI to jump up and speak for me. You know, this is who I really am. So this is a massive trust builder, right? Because this is very much what you see is what you get. And
100%.
if that's not true, your audience will sense it and they will not be interested in talking to you further and things like that. Whereas once they sense that this is who you genuinely are and they are open to connecting with you because they like you, then they're more willing to move forward. People who've seen you speak are 20 to 40% more likely to become clients at some point. Whereas, like, I can't even give you numbers on that for social and things like that because there's so much going on in that space and it's so hard to compete and stand out.
There's just an overwhelming amount of data, and I'm not Mr. Beast, so it's like, look, I can give you some data, but there's definitely that,
Yeah.
which is always good to share with people. But are you going to get lost in the sauce? Is that necessary? Do you have to run ads for 12 months and collect all that data to finally define what your niche is? It depends on where you at in your business. How much do you need that? And again, conversation and seeing someone's face and their facial expressions and how they react to you is going to be such a game changer. It's in the moment. And are people excited because they feel your energy? They're in your moment. They're connecting. They're sympathetic and empathetic to what you're saying, what your message is. Are they clicking the link? Which I just put your link in the chat, and I want to share that with everybody as we come to a close. I'll leave this for you to leave a last tip and then talk about your giveaway.
Absolutely. So, my last tip is if you're going to speak, be thoughtful about where you're going to speak because it's going to have a direct impact on your results. And to help you with that, you can grab my this free gift here. It's the 7 questions to ask before you accept a speaking gig. And so these are the things that you want to ask to make sure that you are in the right place, that you are getting in front of an audience who is going to be receptive to you and align with your services, that you are in the best position for success. Because speaking in the wrong room isn't going to get you what you want.
No, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And Colleen just said that she literally got her lip gloss handy. And as a girl, sometimes you just need that great accent, and it does make you stand out and shine. You got, great lip color. It enhances. It's such a great shade for you. And it's an accessory. you're accessorizing yourself and your business and standing out. It's so great for that. And thank you that download the 7 questions to ask before accepting a speaking gig. Understand what your stage you're getting on, and don't just get on a stage to get on a stage. You don't want to get blindsided. You want to show up as an expert. You want to be polished and be able to really get that visibility, and you can influence your audience if you're in the right speaking gig. So great to talk to you. Thank you for being here today on the Pain Point podcast live early in the morning, and thanks guys for being here live in the chat. It's always great talk about data that's going to move the algorithm. We want to thank you so much, and you guys, Pain Point podcast next Thursday 10 a.m. Eastern. I'll see you there. Have a great day.